Hello everyone, welcome back to Ascarcrochets. If you are new to my channel, please subscribe and click that notification bell. So today we are going to learn how to crochet this crochet flower halter top. I call it a flower halter top because of the flower pentagon that you are going to start with. So let's get to it. So for this project, I'm going to need a 4mm crochet hook. I'm going to need a pair of scissors, a darning needle, and a tape measure. And also we are going to need yarn. So for the yarn, I'm using these 4 different colors, but the green one will be the major color. So for these other 3, we are going to use just a small piece of each. And for the green yarn, you are going to need 1 or 2 balls of this. It depends with your size. If you are size small, you are going to need 1 piece of this. And if you are medium or large, you're going to need 2. We are using Seagull. This is a 100% acrylic. This is a Kenyan brand, and it's the small yarn. As you can see, it's the small yarn. So we are going to double the strands, and I would also recommend you use any other medium weight yarn. Okay, so let's start. We are going to start with a magic circle. You're going to make your knot and don't tighten it. That way. Now place your hook into the space and make 3 chains. Now you're going to make 1 double crochet into the space. That way. Chain 2 and make 2 double crochets into the space. That way. Chain 2, make 2 double crochets into the space. So we are going to continue the same process until we have 5 groups of 2 double crochets together. Chain 2, you're going to join our work into the first stitch that we have here. You're going to make a slip stitch that way. And now you're going to tighten your magic circle. So that is what we have. Cut off the yarn. Now we are going to start row number 2 with a different color. You're going to insert your hook into the chain 2 space and take up the different color. I'm going to take up the baby pink. And make 3 chains. Place 1 more double crochet into the chain 2 space. Chain 2 and make 2 double crochets into the chain 2 space. That way. Now let's go into the next chain 2 space. You're going to place 2 double crochets together. Chain 2 and place 2 more double crochets into the chain 2 space. Go into the next chain 2 space and place 2 double crochets together. Chain 2 and place 2 more double crochets into the chain 2 space. So that is how it's going to look like. So you are going to repeat the process until we get to the last chain 2 space. Now we are going to join our second row into the first stitch that we have here. We are going to make a slip stitch. And you're going to cut off your yarn. That is how your work should look like. Now let's go to row number 3. You're going to insert your hook into the chain 2 space. Take up your other color. I'm going to use hot pink. You're going to make 3 chains and make 7 double crochets into the chain 2 space. That way. So in total you are going to have 8 double crochets, because the first 3 chains that we made will stand as the first double crochet. Now we are going to make 8 double crochets into the next chain 2 space. That way. So now you are going to repeat the same process until we get to the end, until we get to the last chain 2 space. Join the third row, make a slip stitch into the first stitch and cut off your yarn. Now let's go to the fourth row. You're going to insert your hook into any stitch. You're going to take up a different color. I'm going to use a green one. I'm going to make 1 chain, and into the same stitch I'm going to place 1 single crochet. Into the next stitch place 1 single crochet. Into the next stitch place 1 single crochet. Into the next stitch place 1 single crochet, 1 single crochet, 1 single crochet. And when we get to the middle part, this point, you're going to make 1 single crochet into this space. Okay, this way. Don't tighten it. That way. Now you continue with the single crochets until you get to this other middle part. When you get to this middle part, you're going to make 1 single crochet into the second row, this way, that way, and you continue with the single crochets. So you're going to continue that way until you get to this end. Now you're going to join with a slip stitch into the first stitch that we have. And cut off your yarn. So that is what you should be having. You see how the flower is coming out? Now let's go to row number 5. Take your white yarn, and make 3 chains that way. You're going to figure out the middle points of these 8 double crochets that we had made on the third row. So you're going to make 1 double crochet into the next stitch, 1 double crochet into the next. I have two middle points because you are doing 8 double crochets, so the middle points will be 2 points. So you're going to place 2 double crochets into the first point, chain 2, and into the next stitch you're going to place 2 double crochets together, that way. Now you're going to continue with the 1 double crochet in each stitch until you get to the next middle point. Going to place 2 double crochets, chain 2, and place 2 double crochets together into the next stitch. So for you to figure out the middle point, you're going to count 8, then minus 3 on this side and 3 on this other side. So the 2 that are left, you're going to make an increase on them. So let's continue with the 1 double crochet in each stitch until you get to this other point, and you're going to do an increase just like this point, and this other point. Then I'll meet you after you are done with this row. and cut off your yarn. This is the base of the halter top. Use your darning needle to weave off these ends before you continue. I have removed all the loose ends. Now let's start with the body of the top. You're going to start at any point on these chain 2 spaces. I'm going to start on this one. You're going to insert your hook and take up your yarn. The yarn now that you're going to use on the body, the major color. So I'm going to make 3 chains. Now you're going to make 1 double crochet into the chain 2 space, that way. Now go into the first stitch that we have here and place 1 double crochet. Next stitch you're going to place 2 double crochets together. Next one, 2 double crochets together. So you're going to place 2 double crochets together in each stitch until you get to this, the last stitch, where you're going to place 1 double crochet. Into the last stitch you're going to place 1 double crochet. So this is how it's going to look like. Now let's go into the chain 2 space. And you're going to place 2 double crochets together, chain 2, and place 2 more double crochets together into the chain 2 space, that way. Now you're going to this other side. You're going to place 1 double crochet into the first stitch and 2 double crochets together into the next stitches that you have until you get to the end where we're going to place 1 double crochet. Place 1 double crochet into the last stitch and 1 double crochet into the chain 2 space. So that is our first row and making the body. So this is how it looks like. Now let us go to row number 2. You're going to make 2 chains, 1, 2, turn your work. So if you are a size small, you're going to continue this way, and if you have a bigger bust or a wider bust, you're going to make 2 double crochets together into the first stitch. But for a small size and a medium size, you're going to just do 1 double crochet on this first stitch. So let's continue. You're going to place 1 double crochet in each stitch until you get to the chain 2 space. When you get to the chain 2 space, you're going to place 2 double crochets together, chain 2, and place 2 double crochets together, and you continue with the 1 double crochet in each stitch until you get to the end of the row. So this is how our work looks like. So don't worry when your work curves, it will come out nice in the end. So let's continue. Let us now go to row number 3. You're going to chain 2, turn your work, and place 1 double crochet in each stitch, 1 double crochet in each stitch until you get to this point. When you get to the middle point, you are going to place 2 double crochets together, chain 2, and make 2 more double crochets together into the chain 2 space, that way. Now you're going to continue with the 1 double crochet in each stitch until we get to the end of the row. I'm almost getting at the end, so we are done. So you are going to repeat what we did on row number 2 and row number 3 until you get to the height that you want. This is the front part of the top. So you are going to take your tape measure and decide the height that you want. Me, I want to get it to between 9 and 10. I want between 9 and 10 inches. So I'm going to do 10 rows of the green color. So I already made 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to make 7 more rows. So you continue that way until you get to the height that you want on this part. So I'll meet you after I'm done with my 10 rows. I've made my 10 rows. Now you're going to take your tape measure and measure the height. You see I'm getting 10.5, so that will be okay for me. So now let's go to the next step. Now you're going to work on the sides. So let's start with one side. You're going to continue chain 2, turn your work and make 1 double crochet in each stitch until you get to the last 2 stitches. I'm going to place 1 double crochet in each stitch. I'm almost at the end, so I'm going to leave 2 stitches untouched like that. 1 and 2, you're not going to do them. You're going to turn your work, and into the second stitch you're going to make a slip stitch. That way, into the third stitch make a slip stitch and chain 2. That way. Now you're going to make 1 double crochet into the same stitch, the third stitch. That way. Now you're going to continue making 1 double crochet in each stitch until you get to the end. So when you get to this end, you're going to chain 2, turn your work and make 1 double crochet in each stitch until you get to the last 2 stitches on this other end. You're going to leave 2 stitches untouched, this one and this one. Then don't do any chains, just turn your work that way. And into the second stitch from the hook, you're going to place a slip stitch. And the third stitch, you're also going to place a slip stitch. Make 2 chains and make 1 double crochet into the same stitch, into the same third stitch. That way. Now you're going to continue with 1 double crochet in each stitch until you get to the end, to this end. I'm almost at the end of this row. So that's it. This is how your work should look like. You're going to continue with the same process with what we did on these 4 rows. You're going to continue repeating the same thing until you get to the height that you want. So you're going to take your bust measurements, the one you had taken even before you started, and you're going to minus 10 from it. The amount that you get, you're going to divide by 2. So mine, I'm working with a bust measurement of 32. So I'm going to minus 10 from it. I get 22. So I'm going to divide 22 by 2. I get 11. I'm going to work with the 11 inches. So you're going to take your tape measure and measure from this corner to the middle part. So I'm going to continue until I get to the 11 inches. And when you take your measurements, do not stretch your work. Just measure it as it is. Okay? Because you remember we minused 10 from it, so that 10, it will cater for the stretching of the yarn. So don't stretch your work while taking the measurements, and I'll meet you after you are done with your size that you want, and then I'll show you what to do next. I have already finished mine. You see I've gotten to the 11 inches Now we are going to level up this part. You want this point to be straight like this. You want to level it up. So you are going to continue this way. So you are going to turn your work into the second stitch, place a slip stitch, into the third stitch, place a slip stitch and chain 2, and make 1 double crochet in each stitch until you get to the last 2 stitches on this other end also. So you are going to leave 2 stitches untouched on this other end. Turn your work, make a slip stitch into the second stitch and slip stitch into the third stitch and make 2 chains, 1 double crochet into the same stitch and 1 double crochet in each stitch until you get to the last 2 stitches also on this other end. That way. Now you are going to turn your work into the second stitch, make a slip stitch, third stitch, make a slip stitch and chain 2, make 1 double crochet into the same stitch, 1 double crochet into the next stitch, leave 2 stitches untouched, this one and this one. So you are going to finish off with this one that way. So when you place your work flat, you're going to see that it has become straight. It has already leveled up. So you're going to leave it at that, cut off your yarn. And now you are going to repeat whatever we did on this side, on this other side. And then I'll meet you after you are done with this other side. Then I'll show you what to do next. I'm done with this other side. This is how it looks like. That is how your top should look like. So now you're going to continue. You're now going to work on this side, on the lower part. So let's continue. You're going to chain 3, 2, 3, go to the next point on top of this and place a slip stitch, chain 3, go to the next point and place a slip stitch, chain 3, go to the next point and place a slip stitch. So that is basically what we are going to do until we get to this end. I've gotten to the end. I'm going to cut off the yarn. So this is how it should look like. Okay. Now we are going to come to this point and into the last double crochet that you have here, or the last 3 chains that you have on this point here. You're going to insert your hook and take your yarn and make a 1 chain, make 1 chain. Now you're going to place 2 single crochets into that space, that way. You go into the next row, this one, insert your hook and make 2 single crochets that way. Go to the next row, insert your hook and make 2 single crochets. So you are going to continue inserting 2 single crochets at the end of each row, that way. You're going to continue that way until you get to this end. When you get to this end, now you're going to work on the white color. You're going to insert your hook into the first stitch that we have here and make a single crochet. So keep placing single crochets in each stitch until you get to this chain 2 space. When you get to the chain 2 space, you're going to make 2 single crochets together, chain 2 single crochets together into the chain 2 space, that way. Now you're going to continue with 1 single crochet in each stitch until you get to this point. That is how it's going to look like. Now you're going to continue with the same process until you get to this other corner. I'm almost at the end of this row. After you are done, when you get to this corner, you're going to cut off your yarn. Now you're going to put the laces on this part. You're going to go into the chain 2 space of the single crochets that we made, insert your hook, take your yarn and make 180 chains, and do not tighten your chains. After you are done with your 180 chains, you're going to add 1 more chain, and into the 3rd chain you are going to make a single crochet, chain 1, skip one chain. Into the 2nd chain you're going to place 1 single crochet, chain 1, skip 1 chain, make 1 single crochet into the next, chain 1, skip 1 chain, go to the next and place 1 single crochet, chain 1. So you're going to repeat that way. You're going to make 1 single crochet, chain 1, and you skip 1 chain, you make a single crochet, chain 1, skip 1 chain, make a single crochet. So you're going to continue that way until we finish with this lace. When you are done with this lace, you're going to go into this part. Okay, so you're going to make single crochets in each stitch, place 1 single crochet in each stitch until you get to the chain 2 space. You're going to insert your hook into the chain 2 space and make 1 single crochet, that way. Now you're going to chain 180 chains and repeat what we did on this side. Remember, we did 180 chains, turned our work and did the single crochets, chaining 1, single crochet, chaining 1 until we got back here. So you're going to repeat the same thing, then I'll show you what to do next. You're going to slip stitch into the last stitch that you have there and cut off your yarn. And now we are done with the green color. So this is how your work should look like. Now you are going to do the last part. You are going to work on the right side, and you are going to start either on this side or this side, but when you start on this side, you should go this way, get to the end, back this way until we get to this point. Okay, so you are going to take this color, the hot pink color. This is my right side, so I'm going to start on this point, because you are going to work from this point round until you get back to this point. You are not going to work on this side, you're only going to work up to this point. So let's start. You're going to make one chain that way. So after you've made your one chain, then you're going to make one double crochet into the third stitch from the hook. So we have 1, 2, and the third one you're going to place a double crochet. Now you're going to make 5 more double crochets into the same stitch. In total you should have 6 double crochets. That way. Now you're going to skip 2 stitches, this one and this one, and into the third stitch you're going to make a slip stitch that way. Skip 2 stitches, and into the third stitch you're going to make 6 double crochets together. That way. Go into the third stitch from here and make a slip stitch that way. So this is how it should look like. So you're going to continue this way, skip 2 stitches and make 6 double crochets into the third stitch together. So you continue this way until you get to this point, then I'll show you what to do next. I'm almost at the end of this point, so you're going to make 4 double crochets together into the last stitch that we have here. Don't make 6 double crochets, make 4 double crochets. Chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and you're going to insert your hook into this point, the first corner that we have here, and make a single crochet. Chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, into the next point, this one, place 1 single crochet that way. Chain 4, into the next point you're going to place 1 single crochet. Chain 4, into the next one you're going to place 1 single crochet that way. Now you're going to make 4 more chains, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now you're going to work on this side, on the lower part. Now you're going to make 5 double crochets into this first space that we have on the lower part. You're going to place 5 double crochets in it. That way. So this is how your work should look like. After you've made your 5 double crochets, you're going to skip the next chain 3 space, and into the next one you're going to make 8 double crochets together. That way. So you're going to skip 1 chain 3 space before you go to the next. Now you're going to skip the next one, and into the second one you're going to place 8 double crochets together. That is how it should look like. So you're going to continue repeating what we did here and here, skipping one, chain 3 space, and working on the next one. So you're going to continue that way until you get to this point. Until you get to this point, then I'll show you what to do next. So I'm almost at the end. I'm remaining with one chain 3 space. This is the chain 3 space that I was supposed to skip. So since it's the last one, we are going to place 1 double crochet in it, that way, and chain 4, and go into the first corner here, make a single crochet, that way, chain 4, go to the next point and make a single crochet, chain 4, go to the next point and make a single crochet, chain 4, and go to this point, the last point here, and make 1 single crochet, that way. Now you're going to chain 4, 1 2 3 4. You're going to skip 2 stitches, and into the 3rd stitch you're going to place 4 double crochets together, that way. Skip 2 stitches, 1 2, make a slip stitch, skip 2 stitches, into the 3rd one make 6 double crochets together. So we are repeating what we did on the other side. So basically what we are doing now, we are repeating what we did on this side. So you're going to continue and do what we did on this side on this other side. So continue that way until you get to this point. So you're going to slip stitch into the chain 2 space here and cut off your yarn. So we are done with our work. So this is how your work should look like. Thank you so much for watching till the end. I hope to see you in my next video. Please, if you have not subscribed, please subscribe and click that notification bell. Thank you.